Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining in the Dovico webinar this afternoon surrounding a couple tools that I deemed that was important to go over, which is the scheduling and the reporting. My name is Carl Chase. I am from Dovico Software. I am a sales rep here. I will guide you in the next 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how it goes, just showing you one of the tools you know for sure it's reporting, but I'm going to go in depth into the reporting, maybe uncover a few things people may not know about the reporting. But the first thing I'd like to talk about as I share my screen here in a minute is the job scheduler. The job scheduler is a tool simply, it can streamline and save you some time, some of your day-to-day activities. And some people don't know that these tools are there, or they only use 5% of the software, 10% of the software. And I'm going to highlight one of those tools that I think could be beneficial to you. And if you have any questions, we're going to have a Q&A at the end of the thing. But if you do have something important you'd like to ask, you can simply raise your hand and ask me while I'm going through it. It's not a big deal. There's only, a handful of us, so I think I can handle that. So let me share my screen and let's get started. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Awesome. So as you can see, I'm logged into Dovico Timesheet here and I'm in the project screen. So if you want to find out where the job scheduler is in the product, it's under setup here and it's under job scheduler. This tool is directly tied to our reports. So sometimes I'm going to reference reports. Oh, it's not directly tied. It is tied to reports and vice versa. And I'll explain how that all ties together here in a bit. So what you're looking at here is creating, scheduled jobs. And the layout is simply a new button to create jobs. There's different jobs, and I'll get into that. These are the jobs that I've already created. So this is a notification job where I can send a report on the fly. Or sorry, this is a report job where I can send a report on the fly. And this is just a notification, which I'll get into the details of those. And I'm going to talk a little bit about troubleshooting after I schedule one. How do you know, did it run? Because sometimes that does happen and you have to get in touch with support to figure out, why it may have failed. And there's different reasons for that. So if I click on the new button here, there's two options: schedule a report or schedule a notification. So if I click schedule a report, I get this screen here where I'm able to select a report by clicking this add button. This pretty much brings up the report screen. You do have all your canned reports listed here. You have private, favorite. You may have to look at the help files for this, but I'm almost 100% that you can't schedule a private report. You can only schedule public reports. And I'll get into that in the reporting section, how you can take a private report, make it public, et cetera, and what favorites are. But if I want to run a report to add to my job, all I do is simply find it in here. I double click to run the report, and then I pick my filters. So I move this thing. Yes. So then I pick my date range and I pick, and I just hit run. I run the report, and as you can see, the report generates like it would in the report view. However, I'm creating a scheduled job, and by doing so, I can add it to the job. I can also add it to the job in PDF, XLS, so in multiple different formats. I can attach it in different ways. And I'll just PDF as an example here. So you can see I've added the report to the job. All I have to do is name the report job, monthly report or something along that line. Sorry, I can't type today. And then the next step is to simply come in here, and everyone will be in this list. You can pick who you want the schedule report to go to. Once that's complete, you go to the final step, which is scheduling. This is simply coming in here. Once means that if you set it to run once, if it's in this list and the time elapses, then it will just disappear from the list. If you pick daily, it will run every day. If you pick weekly, you can pick the days of the week you want this to be scheduled for by holding control key down and highlighting the days you want it to go out on. And then from there, we do have the server time here, and then it populates your time, and you can just enter your time in which you want to schedule the report. There, I've scheduled a new report. And then the other aspect to the scheduler is notifications. So notifications can be important. Well, one thing I want to back up a little bit and tell you about was my prior occupation at Dovico. I wasn't always in sales. I saw statistics once, and it really surprised me. We found out that this job scheduler sends out over 2 million emails a year. Um, this is years ago. So I don't know. We'd have to go look at it now, but I remember I was floored. I'm like, we send that many emails out of this. So it is used pretty widely. Now, the notifications are ways to like let your people know they have new assignments. Custom email notification is simply like you Monday's a holiday or Christmas, you guys have this day off and you can send you can type an email in here or do whatever you like and that can be scheduled out. Employee incomplete timesheet notification is used when you want to notify your employees that they have not entered enough time for a duration of period. And generally, it's like a week. So you could say, look, we expect 40 hours a week from this particular employee from the current month or the previous week, or any one of these for that matter. So what will happen here is when they submit their time, if they don't reach the 40 hours, they will receive an email. And that email will simply say something like, hey, you've entered 30, you submitted 28 of those 30, and you still have 10 more hours to enter. So it does give them a breakdown of where they're at in their timesheet for the week and what they have left to do. So you can schedule that as well. Here is time and expense waiting approval. Now, some of these notifications simply come up in our system by these red icons that are like up here. They just let you know you have time waiting approval if it's turned on, but you could also schedule it to give you this notification as well, that you have time waiting for something to approve. Manager incomplete time notification is the opposite kind of the employee incomplete timesheet notification, where I can come into this and I could say, I want to know for these users, which is my team, let's say, and I can say, well, I want to know if they entered 40 hours for last week. They will not get an email. I will get the email in this instance. So I will know who have not entered their time for the week. So those are the differences between the incomplete timesheet and the manager incomplete timesheet notification. And then here, the last notification, if you happen to have lockout on, and lockout is a feature in Dovico where you can put start and end times on periods where people have to either request it to be unlocked or yeah, so they can make changes because you can lock down the system. So this is another way to get those type notifications to people through this tool.
Carl,
Yep.
Jesse asked where the employees can see these notifications, if it would be sent to their email or if it's a notification within the Dovico interface.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, yeah, they're all email notifications.
Okay.
Even if they're a notification where it's just a notification, whether it's incomplete timesheet, you'll get an email. And the reports is the same way. So generally, I guess I didn't maybe explain it clearly enough, but this is generally used like if I run the same report every Monday, every Friday, and I have to generate the same thing over and over again, this is a way to have it generate an email to you. And it's all done by email. Now, I'll go into, I guess I will right now because this is pretty much, the extent of it. But if there's a problem with these notifications, generally speaking, is if I come in here and the date hasn't changed, that is a clear indication that it didn't run. Sometimes it's a simple thing. It's just, contact support and they can figure out why, it didn't run. There's different scenarios why that can happen, but that is one of the clear indications that there may have been a problem. If you ever look at this date and the date is passed, then that notification may not have run. And it's not generally that you made a mistake in the notification. Sometimes we just have, failures on our end or something didn't happen correctly in there. But that would be the tip that I have if you ever come in here and you schedule something. And another way to know if it's working, if it's broken, is you can schedule it. And it's kind of like I told you a moment ago. Well, let me pick a different one that's a little easier. Like a notification, for example, I could just do a test one. And I could send it to myself and I could get it to run once. And if I get it to run once and I schedule it, if it doesn't disappear in like a minute or two, that means it's not working properly. So you know there's a problem with this in general. So that's my tidbit of help here in debugging, which is not a very, very difficult thing to do, but I'm just letting you know that's the only thing I can think of by looking at this that you can tell whether it worked or not. But yes, you would get email notifications attached to your emails that you open, and they're just like PDF. If it was a PDF, Excel, if it was no, like, you know what I mean? That's how we deliver it. The notifications is probably a template that we, email out, and it's not like a report or anything. So that's how that would come through. But yes, they're all emails. Sometimes they don't work or don't reach you because you may have your company doesn't allow this type of emailing to happen, or you may have to whitelist us. That stuff does occur. So if you ever get in that realm where it's not working, just reach out to support, and we can definitely help. So that is in general this job scheduler tool. I guess we're gonna have questions at the end, but does anyone have anything urgent that they have on their mind about this right now?
Carl, the red notification at the top next to your name, would that be part of the notifications that they could get?
This is a little different. I'm kind of funny why that one popped up, but it's a little different where, like, if I log in as an administrator and I have, let's say, time to approve, this would say there's time to approve, and I click on it, and it brings me right to it. But they're two separate things. Where if I make a notification here where it's you have time waiting for approval, this would be an email letting me know you have time waiting for approval. But the system, if you have it set up under here, under settings, you can turn it on. Maybe you can turn it on down here that you get notifications. But these notifications are these little red warnings. So yeah, these are separate. They're two different things, but they do the exact same thing in essence, letting you know you have time waiting for approval, or letting you know. So you don't have to have them both turned on. I don't see, to be completely honest, in this job scheduler, in my occupation, the two that are most popular, three, custom email notification. Sometimes the assignment notification is important because people want to know what their next assignments are or whatnot, or new assignments. But the ones I see most often is custom email notification, incomplete timesheet notification, and that manager incomplete timesheet notification. Managers want to know who has been entering and not entering their time on time. And that is the two that I see the most. If there's anything else, I'm going to jump right into reports. And I think a lot of this is going to bleed into each other. Like I was saying, they're tied to a degree. So just to give you, oh, sorry, I may have done that too fast, but obviously reports is here. And we do have a search to search through our 32 or 33 canned reports that we have. We have a create button, so that means you can create reports from scratch. This is the public, private, and my favorite that I was telling you about. I believe, and I might be wrong, and if I am, it's okay, but you can't schedule a private report. You have to schedule public reports, but there is a way to make private reports public. Now, we have everything here from expense reports. So we do have an expense piece in Dovico, not just time. People can track expenses, submit their expenses, look at expenses, and look at receipt attachments on those expenses. So we have the ability to do that. We also have cost reports. So the ability to, or cost with budget. Let me see here. Yeah, project time and cost. So if you want to look at, not double click, you just double click to run a report. That's how you run a report. You pick your parameters and you hit run report. And as you can see, I get my projects, the amount of hours worked, and then here the client cost versus the company cost, because I have rates in here, and the rates times the hours give us these costs. I guess while I have this open, I'm going to explain to you how this is tied to the job scheduler from here. It's tied to the job scheduler because look, you can schedule, you don't have to go into that view that I was just in if you're not scheduling a notification. You can just schedule a report by clicking on, PDF XLS here, and this will convert it and add it to the job, and you can create the job directly from the report. So if that's the case, never go into that set up job scheduler, run the report, schedule it. if you don't need any notifications. So that's a direct correlation. You can export reports in all the same formats that I kind of spoke about. You can open it as a PDF. There's a way to print it. There's a way to adjust the columns. I'm going to get into more of that editing in a minute. So we do have project time and cost. We also have project time and cost with budget. So if you turn on your project where you're tracking budgets either by employee or by tasks, you can run reports and say, I don't know if I put any budgets in here. I think I do. I have 70 hours budgeted here, and you can see the budget costs. So yes, you can do that as well. I'm just kind of pointing out the different reports. And then down here are more like the administrative reports looking at employees' time. So employees' time by project, employees' time by employee. Now, this is the description of the project. And over here, I want to explain this because a lot of people do not understand this aspect of Dovico because we do have unsubmitted time and we also have approved time. So these are called types, and these types are simply SQL queries because our database is SQL, our software is SQL driven, and these are just questions that we ask the database and return data to us. So budgeted actual is for, and then time and cost. So time and cost will only return data that's approved. So if you want to see unsubmitted time, this type will not do that for you. Time report will do that for you. So if I scroll down and I run that employee time report, the filters that appear are like the employees, also the date range. And then here is where is it in the system? If you want to return everything, you want to see all the time entries for someone, either it's approved, unapproved, or rejected, you can just hit all. But if you just want to see approved time, you can choose it. If you want to see not submitted, you can reject it as well. So you can see where these records are, but on some reports in Dovico, like the ones that are time and cost, you do not see unapproved time. So, and I guess I get a little technical on you, where the reason for this is when we submit time in our timesheet, there's a table in the background called the temp trans table, so temporary transaction table. And when time enters, and so when they live in that temporary transaction table, that means that this report type is the one that's pulling the time up. If you approve this, then it gets transferred. All that time gets transferred into another table called the trans table, so the transaction table. If it makes it to the transaction table, then time and costs is the one, and that means it's only approved time. But I just wanted to point that out. And I do want to point out that I'm going to show you how to use the reporting more, but I'm going to get this out of the way. We do custom reporting. So if we try to build a report that doesn't work, we can modify these report types. So we can do sometimes people want to do all time, regardless if it's submitted or not submitted. So we can make custom reports that go outside the bounds of some of these reports that we have. So we can manipulate and add new types in here. And usually it's us that would do it. So this report type button is not of any real use to you unless we create a custom report and we say, hey, you have to use this report to build, you have to use this type to build this report. Now, what I really like about this is that it is an ad hoc reporting tool, meaning I can change it on the fly. I can create things on the fly. What I really like is, I could just hit this pencil and edit it here. That's a problem because if I take the column off or I group it differently and I hit save, I just overwrote the standard report for everyone. So what I suggest to people, if you really like a report like this one, you can just right click on it and you can duplicate it. And by duplicating it, it will throw it in your private tab. And at this point, you can hit the pencil here, edit it all you want, hit save, and you have not altered any other report. Now, not everyone's going to see this report, or no one's going to see this report unless you decide to publish the report. Once you publish the report, anyone within your security group will see this report. And there is, and it's not really a huge part of my demonstration here, but oh, sorry, wrong part. I just drew a blank. Oh, here we go. So reports have permissions by every security group. So if I had published something and I was an administrator, then the published report would show up only for the administrators or managers, whoever like group I add to. But let's say I create a report and publish it, and it's not part of that group. It might be unchecked like this. You can come in after the fact and you can publish that report by hitting apply. So you can at any time publish any report to any user, even time entry users. You can now make reports for them outside of their default reports here of just simple reporting in their own time. You can build a report for them and publish it to them, and a little bit more flexibility than we never had the ability to change any reports in our previous version outside of a report writer doing it. So that's a major change. So once it's published, or sorry, let me go back to private here. So once something's published, it's in public, it's like any other report. Here is where I can go create. And this is my favorite part of any demonstration, of showing people how you can build a report. So let's just name this. So you can name it whatever you like. You can do anything. You can give it a description. The way I describe this is kind of like, I always use the word wizard. So like columns, groups, it's like steps. So the first step is under general. So I name it. These radio buttons, and they have quite a few of them, and we can add new ones. These are the types that I was talking about in the other view, just showing which types associated to it. So if I come up here and I pick time and cost, and I go to the following button, you can see here, look, there's 2 cost columns. And then there's all the other columns. And these are all columns that are in our database that we can add to the report so we can see data on. Now, if I go back and I change this to time, notice that the cost columns are gone. We filter out the report according to the type and what you can add to the report, if that makes sense. So I can make a time report, I can make an expense report, assignment report, employee list report. I can make expense reports with reports attachments. We have many different types of reports. Now here, I won't get too in detail because you probably know what a lot of this is, but standard is a report where I would give to a fellow colleague, a client. It's got page breaks, it has color, it's a little on the fancy side, if you want to call it that. Pie, bar, and grid, if anyone's ever spent any time in Excel or anything like that, it's pretty straightforward. You pick your data types, it gives you a bar or a grid report. What I like showcasing the most is we now have a data dump, which is this raw data. This means that you can just get everything out of the system into an Excel spreadsheet or whatever format, but Excel seems to be most people's preferences. So if I want to build a report, and I'm going to use raw data just to show you the export first. So I can quickly make a report, employee name, project name, task name, hours worked, and then let's say the date and the description. Now this one I can just run. It's a dump. So when I go like this, everything just comes out, and I can build any report I wish to dump out. And then here, when I go export to XLS or XLSX, you'll notice when I open it, sometimes when you export in my previous things I've done this in, there's page breaks, there's little asterisks everywhere, and you have to clean it up before you can work with it. This is not the case. We made an effort to make it used immediately. The only thing that you may have to touch, depending on where you live, is to right click and change the format of the date or something like that, but it's ready to go. So I wanted to point that out because a lot of people like the raw data. Now I'm going to go here to standard and just build a regular report so I can show you what the other buttons do. So let me build a similar report that I just did here. Employee first name, sorry, project name, task name, hours worked, date, description. Well, I guess I'm going to have to talk about this as well. we do have a really cool feature here called calculated column. And this would be not for this report that I just made. I would have to pick like probably cost or something like that. However, you're able to come in here and make a column using what we consider to be like case statements, but you can do text, you can do different, but number, I can come in here and I can go add to formula, or I can pick a column. So I can like do hours worked minus the budget or whatever. So I can do little calculations in here, but there are more advanced ways in here as well under calculated columns where you can concatenate names together by doing this. You can have a percentage of, so if the budget is 0, then take the hours worked divided by the budget hours times 100. And as you can see, it gives you a percentage. You can do month columns. So it's very flexible in the way that you can create the report by creating your own columns. Oops, I just want to point that out. Oh, did I just close my screen? I'm sorry about that.
That has to be the cleanest desktop I've ever seen.
I made it that way. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to close the window. I'll do a cost one so you guys can see it. Let's see. So when you pick the type here, you'll have different columns available to you. So you could do like different calculations based on what's here. So these are just the different columns you have to your disposal. And depending on your level of being able to, between the help files and doing this, like simple minus budget minus, the hours, that's super easy. And we also have support or myself at your disposal if you need to make a more complicated case statement or something that would help you. So that's that. Here's the grouping. What this is used for is to, if I run the report right now with no groupings on, it doesn't roll anything up. It's just almost similar to that data dump that I just did. So if I roll it up by employee, I hit run, you can see right in front of your eyes. It rolled it up. There's Carl in there, but they didn't roll up the project. So if I want to, I can do that as well. I can roll it up any way that I see fit, as you can see. And sorting obviously speaks for itself, where yeah, you can sort by hours, task by date would be the one would make the most sense in this instance. Here are the filters, and this is neat because you can add your different filters if you want employees, projects. I'm going to talk about something, and I didn't really know if I wanted to talk about it in this webinar, but I am going to talk about it. In Dovico, you have here what we consider to be custom fields. So if I go here and I go under employee, I already have a custom field called employee number. So if I go to the employee, and I'm pretty sure that I did this to myself here before, I give myself an employee number. In the reports, the really cool part of what I love about these reports is when I build them, if I build them again, sorry about that, should have hit save. But as you can see here, those custom fields appear as available columns that you can report on. So you can make any field that you like, and that field will appear on, and you can get, useful information from that custom field. Now, I'm going to show you why I believe there's another reason to use custom fields in this particular circumstance. So let's group it by employee. We don't need to sort it. So here, let me show you that first. Sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. I want to show you in the columns available that custom field employee number. Sorry, did I already pass it? I already put it there. Yeah, employee number was there and I put it here. So you can, if I run the report, we should be able to see, I don't have the right day range, maybe. Let me see. Oh, it's for life. But what I do want to show you is under filters here. This is where it gets interesting. I can come in here. Let's say I don't want to use custom field as a column to report that data back or return it. You want to use it as a way to filter information. So I can use the employee number, or I can use the project number, or whatever it is you want to attach. Custom fields can be on clients, projects, tasks, employees, expenses. It almost lives everywhere in our system. So these custom fields can be tagged to anything, and then you can use that filter if you wish to use it that way as a filter. You can just pick the project number, or if like how many hours of work from home or in the office. You could do it that way. You could just have a custom field filter in a way to customize that. Let me see here. Am I forgetting anything? Oh yeah, let's talk about this for a second. The private, obviously the favorite is just adding to your favorite. No one can see it. It belongs to you. It's pretty much the same as your private, but you could put the ones you use there. Most frequent. Is there anything else? Yeah, we can import and export reports as well. So like I said, with the customization of reports, if we create one for you, you can import a new report. So meaning we can build it and then the report type will get imported so it works. And we would also import a report that ties to that type, and then you would have a new report. So if you ever get an email from support and they say, hey, you received a custom report and they want you to import it, you can just go import. You can choose, it's an REP file, if I'm not mistaken. You can choose the report, you can hit open, and that report will then appear in this list, and you should be able to run it. And I'm not sure if there's anything else to talk about. Let me think. One more. Was there anything you guys would like to see before I wrap up for questions? We're good. So today, the way I'm going to do the Q&A is we have obviously we have Zoom, and you can just simply raise your hand, ask the question out loud. We also have a tool. Actually, I closed my tab by accident. If you do not feel comfortable with asking your question in public, you can just simply click on the link that will be posted in this Zoom chat, and you can answer the question anonymous, or you can ask a question anonymously. And this is a tool that we developed to help in meetings where just to help with engagement, where it might be less of a stressful environment to submit a question that way. So you're more than welcome to click on that link and submit the question. Now, let's say, for example, I don't have the answer. It kind of poses a problem because the software is anonymous. So we don't know who asked the question. However, the way we're going to treat any question that I won't be able to answer on the spot would simply be to ask the person who asked that question in that tool to submit their question to support@dovico.com, and then we'll address it there. But I am going to do my best to address any question in that way. So if the floor is open, any way you guys like to do it, go ahead.
We've dropped the show up link in the chat. So for anyone who wants to ask anonymous questions, you can click on that link. It should bring you to the conversation. And if you click on your bottom left, Carl doesn't have an attendee screen, but if you click on the bottom left, there should be an icon, and it'll open up a comment window where you can add your anonymous comments.
Sharing for a quick second here. Look at the chat. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask me through Zoom or out loud or?
I guess for us, the reason that we have 3 employees from Roy Consultants here today, is we have an older version of Dovico, and we're looking at the new features to we would like to migrate maybe potentially towards a new, I think it's version 14 or 15 now that you were presenting earlier. So we're just looking at what's available and how we could make it work with how we're doing things. So we have a lot of reports set up in our existing Dovico right now. If we do migrate to the new version, would those reports that we have set up follow, or would they have to all be set up again?
No, they won't have to be set up again. Basically, you mean your current environment being migrated to the new one? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Well, what I would suggest, if you haven't seen it, I can always send you my Calendly link. I believe we have your email because you registered, so I can send you that after this call. And if you want to spend some time with me, I can show you the difference between the old one and the new one. But you are migrated, so all your employees, projects, tasks, reports, all the data gets put into the new one. There's only a few views that have changed in the new one. The software is like 90 some percent change, 95%, but I can show you the difference at any time. And then we can schedule a migration to happen. Generally speaking, we don't always migrate immediately. We can make a copy of your current environment and you can go in and look at it first and play around with it, and then you give us the okay and say, we'd like to do it on this date. We'd like to make it as streamlined as possible. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, maybe we can schedule something. I'll talk to our team and see their availabilities, and we'll schedule something to try to move forward with that.
I don't know if someone on the call has my calendar link handy. They could just drop it in the chat too if we want to just schedule something, Jesse.
Sure.
Was there any other specific questions anybody wanted to ask me regarding the scheduling or the reporting that they may have, something I may have missed or something you'd like to know? I got a question here. Does it cost to have custom report done by Dovico or to help me build more complicated? So to help you build a more complicated one, there's no cost. You call into us, I will sit down with you and see if I can make the report with you. If at some point I realize, okay, this report is not doable by me and it has to be a custom report, there is a cost, but Dovico has a really good, I think it's $200 to $250 a report. It doesn't matter if the report takes 10 minutes or it takes a whole week. That's the flat fee. And we do have a website where you go pay. We don't pocket that money. We basically have Dovico Cares where you can go and pick a charity and you can pick which one you want to pick and you pay for the report and we give the money to that. So the reporting is something we do to help our clients. Yep. Anything else, guys? Any more questions? Well, if that's it, I thank you for coming. We're done a little bit early, but we can let you get back to your day. And if you have any other questions, and if this wasn't the place for those questions that you have, or you want to have a call with me, my Calendly link is there. You're more than welcome to schedule a call to get more info or more questions or help you with your environment. Uh, Also, you have support at your disposal because you pay for the license. That's free. Anytime you have a problem, I'm not available there. Um, if you need additional licenses, support, anything like that, yeah, feel free to reach out. And if you have any questions regarding the tool where we shared the link on asking questions on our other product, you're more than welcome. It's called Show Up. Showup.doveco.com is where you can go look at that. It's just a new product we've been working on in the last year. However, it's outside of our time tracking element. That's about it, guys. And I hope you have a good afternoon and great day.